To give it to Red Bull for their adaptability.
They did throw everything at it,
Yeah, in terms of like with everything that was happening, they still stayed on top of it, and they still were able to extract as much as possible out of the race.
Everything was a punt, to be fair. Like, even from the start of the weekend, everything was a punt. Like, going through to Q3 on soft tyres, that's a punt. Like, just everything. It was all like, you could tell they didn't want to admit it. But I'd say Christian Horner's way of admitting we don't have the race pace to keep up with Mercedes tomorrow was him going, I mean, it's been a great season. We've done so well. We've taken them to the final race this season. I'm so proud of everyone. Like, you could almost say he was talking as if he lost it already, which argued they did lose the constructors. Obviously, they don't care about that. But, like, you could tell he knew they didn't quite have the pace, which is why they were doing everything they could.
Mercedes suddenly just got pace from nowhere. That's the shocking part. I just want to know where they got that pace, because it's not the engine. Like, you can you can sing to the end of the week about a new engine. A new engine is not giving you that big of an advantage. There was something shady, and I don't mean shady as in it's wrong. I mean shady as in it's borderline grey, like where they were using like something to give them that extra pace. Why is
interesting?
it?
I mean, so what I've heard, obviously this, I don't know. All you can say about it, what they're saying is. Well, it's not even, they're not going to come out and say, like, this is where we found our 4/10 in the last 4 races. But essentially, they're talking about finding, the problem with the car wasn't that it wasn't fast, it's that they didn't understand how to balance it properly or set it up. And you could see that if you watch Lewis's qualifying laps. He's always hacking at the steering wheel, he's always doing all of this stuff. But if you watch one from him last year or the year before, you can tell it's all smooth movements, one movement at the steering wheel, there's no oversteer, there's no understeer, all of this stuff. So they're saying they found out how to set it up better, which makes sense with the amount of time I'm assuming Lewis is spending in the simulator and all this, which he normally doesn't do. I think he said he turned down a couple weeks ago, before one of the races, one of these last 4. He said he turned down a dinner somewhere to do with important people, with like a table of important people to train instead, which normally he would never do.
Bro, he doesn't use the, like, he's used the simulator like 3 times before this year. Something like that. It was like he's used it, like he's never used it basically before this year. This year is only because he had to use it essentially.
Yeah.
But you can see the difference actually between their setup, between Max and Lewis, especially in Saudi. In Saudi, it's very evident, and actually you can see it very well. Especially in qualifying. Max is, like, the steering angle he's putting in, like, if you watch his steering wheel, it goes like he goes right, and then it's left, and it's like this smooth kind of, like, he only puts, like, one steering and holds it, and then for the next corner, whereas Lewis is...
No, that's what I mean, so they can't set it up.
Even in Saudi, the car wasn't set up, like, in qualifying. I think they set up the car for the race. Like, it's a good setup, but for qualifying, you could see it was not set up well. Like, you can see the difference between the both of them. Max's car was just so
And the biggest one to be able to tell is when Bottas doesn't do well. Because Bottas is an alright qualifier, to be fair to him. So when Lewis is
Bottas is a good qualifier.
So when Lewis is 4/10 behind Max, but Bottas is another 8/10 behind Max, you can tell, like, Lewis is doing this purely on talent, and he's getting it up there and all of this. And I'm not saying Bottas is some 4-time world champion, but, like, you can clearly see the difference between him and the rest of the field.
But that's the thing. This year, I think it was very evident. You can see, like, Max and Lewis were just in a league of their own.
Yeah.
Like, literally in a league of... In terms of consistency, in terms of extracting the most out of the car. You could argue that at the beginning of the season, the only one that was kind of close to them was Lando. But he kind of...
He solidified his third. Like, it was Max and Lewis, Lando, and then the rest.
Yeah, I think he was the closest to them. But then he obviously had that run of bad luck. Like, literally the whole, like, since Russia, Lando's just been, like, he's not actually driving, but he's driving really well.
Yeah, he got another puncture, did it? Or
Sunday. So he got a puncture in Qatar, he got a puncture in Saudi. In Saudi he was ruined under the red flag.
Yeah.
He got a puncture in the other race, in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Bro, his luck has been... Russia, they screwed up the thingy. He's been having such bad luck.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, like he was saying, I want the season to end, and like Ricardo is saying this, and you understand why they want the season to be over. It's just like, yeah, I just want this bad luck to end.
Well, once again, we're just getting started on the race. We're still on lap 1. because going into turn 7, Max goes for another late dive on Lewis. This is, as we were saying before, his soft tyres, you know, he needs to get ahead of him for the strategy to work. You can't just watch Lewis drive off into the sunset. So he gives it a go. He dives up the inside, goes all the way to the white line. Everyone's saying he kept his car on the track. I would argue he didn't leave any space on the other side. But then Lewis goes through Narnia and back to cut the corner, get back on, and he has a big advantage.
Very, very, very big advantage.
The stewards say he gave back this advantage before the lap ended.
Bro, I don't trust the stewards. Honestly.
To be fair, we were watching the race together. At the time, I was defending their decision. I can't trust anything the stewards do anymore, to be honest.
What are they talking about, bro? Honestly, I think that's the thing. Like, there are the rules, fair enough. We listen to the rules. The rules are great, but the way you implement the rules matters.
Yeah.
So the race director or the stewards, they're gonna implement the rules in a certain way, and I think that's the thing. It's like you implement it in a certain way. Charlie Whiting used to implement it in a certain way. That's okay, as long as you're consistent with the way you implement it. Yeah. Max did this overtake a few times. He was fine, no penalty, nothing. If Lewis had crossed him, he'd have got the position back, all that stuff. And now he's being told not even an investigation. It wasn't even noted, bro.
No.
So when you see that stuff, you're like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's not just inconsistency. You're so inconsistent. It's painful to watch.
It's stupid. And the thing is, when I said I looked at the regulations, I didn't look at the sporting ones, the ones to do with racing, all of this, but I know for a fact there's a rule about leaving a car's width when you're driving. Like in the braking zone and all of this, and leaving a car's width. Well, I'm sure there's other stuff and whatever it is, but the point is, there are incidents like this. It happens all the time. Someone goes up the inside, doesn't leave the other one room. There are 5 seconds handed out.
Career on this kind of stuff, and he pushed people out, and it's okay.
Then there's obviously the leaving the track and gaining an unfair advantage. These are quotes that we can make from the regulations that everyone knows about purely because they happen so often. And if it's something that, this isn't like a weird tweak or a weird quirk in the regulation. This is what racing's about. Every time 2 drivers go side by side, this is likely to happen now. So of all things to be inconsistent with, it's something that happens weekend in, weekend out. And it's just embarrassing to watch, to be honest. Like, whatever you're going to do with that situation, whether you say Lewis should have given the place back, whether you say Max should have given him room, whatever it was, there's an argument from both sides now. Like, before it would have been like, because of the inconsistency. Like, the same way Max complained about his penalty in Qatar because he said it was fine in Brazil.
Exactly.
Like, it's
it
was
was Saudi, it was in Qatar. The interesting thing is, I forgot what I was going to say. Was it Jolyon Palmer who mentioned this? He was commenting on, this is the first year where we can actually hear the stewards.
Oh God, yeah.
Michael Massey, sorry. And basically, if you actually look at it, like Toto and this is why I don't think Michael Massey should stay. I think Michael Massey should go. But it's because Toto and Christian just, for fun, they just bully him into doing what they want. Let's be honest.
He does get bullied. He gets bullied by both of them.
Like, that's the funny thing is, he gave up on that, and he's like, the moment he just broke, was literally at the end of the race when Toto was asking him, and then he's like, it's called motor racing. That's when he just hung up. That's they mentioned something where people can lodge a complaint. The Michael Massey or the race director, press a button, I've seen your message. You won't get a reply from him, and then he makes
That's already there.
No, but he's talking to them.
I know, yeah, that's what I mean. I was thinking where anywhere else in the world would you find someone in a high place of authority able to talk directly to someone in a lower place? Because these are the team bosses we're talking about, and then the director of everything that's going on, the race director. They should be talking to some secretary or do you know, I'm not trying to demean the position or whatever it is, but Massey should have a right-hand man, right-hand woman, someone sat there, they take the complaints, they hear what's going on, and then they feed through the important stuff. Toto's screaming, I beg you don't send out a safety car or whatever.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane.
like they have no respect for him at all. And I'm hearing there's reports and stuff and all of this, whatever, they're saying that most of the team bosses have lost trust in him.
Yeah,
and a lot of the drivers don't really care about him.
That's the thing. I think he's not had that like firm grip from the beginning, because you're dealing like F1 is just people with big egos.
Yeah.
Like everyone there has a massive ego, and so you can't.
Almost the size of their bank account.
Yeah, you can't essentially stroke someone's ego. You have to just be like firm with all of them. Like, this is the way I'm running it. You either like it or, well, you just leave. I don't care to be honest. Like, that's the way you should.
If he did that at the start of the year,
but that's the thing. He did none of this, and then he's like, "Oh, why are we losing the champ? Because what are you doing, bro?"